Hello everybody and welcome to the second Reset, Recharge, Recover webinar. My name is Richard Slater. I am the publisher of Lancashire Business View magazine. And our first guest is Pauline Turner. Pauline is the managing director of the Chorley Group, which is a series of motor dealerships. She's risen right through the business. She's worked in every aspect of one of the very greatest of Lancashire family businesses. Here she is. She's a great voice. She's regularly named as one of the great British women in the car industry. I'm delighted to welcome her. Pauline, how are you getting on?
Very well, thank you for the introduction, Richard.
You're welcome. What did I miss?
Pardon?
What did I miss from the introduction?
Well, a little bit about the company.
Okay.
From Chorley Group.
That's what I'd like to know about, Pauline. If you give us an introduction to the Chorley Group, and not necessarily every last cough and spit, but from 1989, which is when the business was founded, to its present day operation today. Tell us about its growth, and tell us about your role in that, please.
Yeah, the business started, it's actually a business run by my brother, owned by my brother, and we started off just selling used cars. The business has grown over the last 31 years into having numerous sites throughout the Northwest, supplying franchise vehicles for Nissan, Hyundai, Kia, and most recently MG.
How many dealerships is that, Pauline, please?
It's 9 in total. 9 in total. We employ about 235 people. So quite a big employer in the Northwest area.
And can you give us a sense of the scale of the business? What kind of turnover does the business have? Yeah,
the turnover last year was 130 million. Who knows what it's going to be this year with a few months shut down on it, but the business has come bouncing back.
So tell us how the business, as you say, it started as a business that was selling used vehicles. How has it progressed to being, well, I know that as a business, the Chorley Group is regularly named European Nissan Dealer of the Year and World Dealer of the Year. How have you made those steps? Yeah,
at first aim, we were big suppliers of used cars, but we struggled to source the quality used cars that we like. The low mileage, 1-2 owner with a good service history. So we took the Nissan franchise on to enable us to get the part exchanges to be able to retail. And from there, it's grown over the years. We were the 4 years running the biggest Nissan dealer in Europe from our Chorley site. And we are one in the top 10 in the country for Nissan. Last year we won the European award as well.
So what were the key milestones? How did you develop the relationships with Nissan?
The relationship with Nissan, we've got a very, very good relationship with Nissan. They've encouraged us over the years to develop within the area. We started in Chorley. We've got a site in Preston, Wigan, Burnley and Blackpool. So it is throughout the Northwest area that we cover. They do encourage us to try and go out of territory, but we feel that we want to stay rooted in where we're from. I'm from Blackburn, the family's from Blackburn, so we surround the Blackburn area, and that's good enough for us.
Why is it not called Blackburn Group Nissan?
Yeah. Our main site was in Chorley, so that's where we started off, and we've gone from Chorley Nissan to Chorley Group now by adding on the other franchises. But we are open to other opportunities locally if new opportunities come up, despite the current economic climate.
As a business grows, you say you've got 230 or thereabouts staff. Typically one considers above 150 and you're moving out of the village zone and it becomes more difficult. How do you manage to keep the ethos and the values of your business together with such a large team on different sites?
Yeah, it starts very much with the recruitment process. When we are recruiting, we try and instill in people who are thinking of joining us that is our ethos, the family values. We have our values within work, but honesty, trust, transparency. That's within the group and to customers as well and suppliers. So we try and keep that ethos all the way through. We've got a very strong management team. Most of our managers have been with us circa 20 years. And we've also got a very, very good HR team.
When lockdown was announced and as we were moving towards lockdown, what was the thinking at Chorley Group and what actions did you take?
Before lockdown was actually announced, and it was obviously becoming quite evident that it was becoming a scary place to be for a lot of our team members, we'd actually decided to close the showroom before the government announcement coming in to insist on it. Now, that was a brave step from our point of view, but obviously the government intervened anyway to close us on the 23rd, I think it was, Monday the 23rd. So we already had plans in place for that closure. We'd contacted customers to make sure that anybody who was ready for picking the cars up had been in. People who was booked for servicing was either postponed or brought in early. So we had got prepared for the situation.
And so what were the key changes that you had to implement and what did it do to the business?
During the closure, it gave us an opportunity to reassess the business in some ways. It's like in any recession period, crisis period that we've seen numerous times within our 31 years, that it gives you that opportunity to actually sit back, look at the business and look at areas where you can make changes, positive changes. You get your systems and processes in place, but unless you readily look at those and change them, you're not changing with the times.
Yeah.
So it gives us that opportunity to do that. One of the big changes on reopening was actually considering the health and safety, again with the PPE equipment, the social distancing that we had to consider, how that worked for customers and for our staff as well. So we've still got quite a few people on home working at the moment.
You know, the overriding feeling and mood of businesses, certainly 12 weeks ago or so, was concern, distress, uncertainty. You know, many businesses across Lancashire and across the rest of the region have seen a massive disruption in sales. Many have had to furlough staff. And many staff are concerned as well about what jobs they'll have, you know, in the next few weeks and months when furlough finishes. The one thing I would say about Lancashire businesses is they're keen to get back to work. They're definitely keen to get back to work. There's a desire to be creative, and let's be honest, a lot of businesses are going to have to change. They're going to have to be creative about how they come back to the market, whether that's through a digital medium or whether that's just changing the way they do business, understanding that maybe the markets have changed. So I think in the mood of businesses, it's been tough. But I think there's a real desire and need and want to get back to work right now and to get their staff back into offices and back into the factories. So I think the mood is one of uncertainty but positivity going forward in the next few weeks, I think.
Recently, we've seen a lot of clients facing challenges with bringing people back to work. A lot of people, for many different reasons, don't want to come back. Some just are enjoying the time at home, being paid 80% to sit with family. They've probably never had the opportunity in their lives to spend as much time as they are with their children or parents or whatever that might be. So a lot of them sort of saying, can I not just stay on furlough? In some cases, it's a genuine fear of coming back to work and actually knowing that this pandemic isn't quite over yet. Even though businesses are reassuring people and, you know, practically they're having to get these risk assessments in place, having to make sure all the measures are in place. So that's one challenge in itself, but then equally getting over this fear aspect without then prejudicing any employment rights. So, you know, there is this quirky provision under the Employment Rights Act about people being, you know, in a position of danger, and it's interpreting those and how widely and how far are these going to be applied.
What we've found is there's been a surprising sort of positivity around our client base. We have clients in the private sector who have looked at this, as Pauline mentioned earlier, as a time to reflect and use that time to really focus on how they can drive their businesses forward. And I think that's an opportunity that a lot of businesses haven't had in the past because they've been so busy and so caught up in the day-to-day. They've not been able to really consider sort of what direction they're taking, how to move things forward. And definitely from a marketing perspective, I think a lot of our clients have had time to think, and they're coming to us with ideas to say, okay, well, how can we digitize what we're doing? How can we reach our clients in different ways? And I also think there's been a huge opportunity presented to a lot of our clients in terms of looking at that digital landscape and how that can be used to reach new clients. So for one example, Plums, who are a prominent Lancashire business, they've sort of looked at e-commerce, and we're helping them sort of move more into e-commerce models. And then on the other side, we've also had to be reactive for clients in the public sector. So that's education, councils, people like that who can't stop because of the pandemic.
I think it's about understanding employees more. I think probably, I mean, we've gradually been coming to this. Little things like working from home, if they can't or they can, it just depends on what job role they have. But I mean, certainly if they can work from home, it's about exploring those opportunities and understanding what it is your employees need. I think it is very easy to get bogged down with your normal day-to-day routines and just forget what it is that staff want to help them work and perform better, you know, whether that be kind of flexible hours, whether if your industry can allow that, or just certain scenarios that people are in, whether they need to be working more alone or depending on what type of distractions they have. So I think if we can understand ourselves better and understand our employees, we can then prepare for what it is that we are going to need rather than just react when something goes wrong. We would never have believed how much we can do online. It's something that we actually discussed before this whole lockdown, about making online appointments available. Could we make it work, and how successful are we going to be? And it was we were just pushed into that situation, and thankfully we were, because the success that we've got from it and the reach that we've been able to do has been phenomenal. I mean, a lot of the time anyway, even though we're hands-on and physical, it does require a lot of teamwork from either the patient or the employee, whoever we're working with, that it is a joint effort in trying to get someone to rehabilitate, whether that be exercises that they do and listening to what we say, even more so now online. But there's so much that can be done without actually physically touching someone, which is it's going to help us tenfold with our business, and especially helping other businesses around the Northwest.
What do you see as Boost's role? What's your primary role for Lancashire right now?
Dead simple, to help businesses think about what their next steps are as they start to come out of recovery. We're not there to make things work, but we are there to try and provoke and get people thinking about what they should be doing. And I think that should be one of the roles of the Growth Hub. Get you thinking, and when you're thinking, being there to try and support what some of those answers might look like. So we have a series of talented individuals that can probably also help with some of that thinking as well. So, constantly, I always say to people, really, you should be popping over to the Boost website fairly regularly if you're in business. If you're on social media, you should be definitely looking at the socials. So looking at what's going on Twitter, what's on LinkedIn. We're trying to push out the messaging of what people are doing to give you ideas about the sorts of things that possibly you need to be thinking about. And because it's complex and because it's complicated and because we're all individuals, there is no single one response which is going to suddenly solve the issue. There is no gold and silver bullet that's going to come in and make things work. So we've always been really clear with the Growth Hub, but it starts with a conversation. And part of our repositioning has to take away the growth bit of that conversation. And now we're just saying we just want to have conversations. So any business, if you've not yet started that conversation with anybody, I don't care who it is, it could be your trusted business advisors that you are currently paying to go off and deliver support to you. It could be some of the membership organisations, it could be some of the networking groups. Go and talk to them, because they'll be desperate to look at how they can help and support you anyway. But if you haven't got that in place already, if you don't know where to turn to or who to go to, that's what Boost is there for. Just give us a call.